Welcome to the Lake Katherine Nature Center, where our mission is to connect people with nature. Founded in 2005, the Lake Katherine Nature Center is one of the jewels of the Southwest Side. Located on 83 acres of land owned by the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, Lake Katherine is a natural refuge amidst an urban setting. The city of Palos Heights, a suburb in southwestern Chicagoland, leases this land from the MWRD, and this natural refuge is then operated by the nonprofit Lake Katherine Nature Center. Fostering an environment where families and individuals can connect with nature takes many forms. Over 100,000 visitors walk the grounds each year, using that time to relax and unwind, to exercise, view wildlife, or just to enjoy a sunset from a lakeside bench. Some attend an outdoor wedding or an indoor private or corporate event in one of our rental spaces. Lake Katherine is staffed by a dedicated group of professionals and supported by devoted volunteers. And many of these volunteers have a special connection to Lake Katherine, like in this story of Dr. Dan O'Reilly.
I'm here with Dr. Dan O'Reilly, who is a board member and volunteer for Lake Katherine. And you've been in the community for so long. You've seen the transformation from this area, what it was before Lake Katherine, to today. And I'd like to hear you talk about that a little bit, and also a special moment you had. I'm going to say back in 2014. I'm going to borrow your year from you.
Thank you.
And how Lake Katherine became that special place for you. But because you've lived here so long, can you tell us what was Lake Katherine like before this beautiful nature center it is today?
Well, in the early days, it was a gun club. There was a shooting range here for skeet. In fact, we as kids, we'd come down here and we'd pick up the clay pigeons and bring. I thought they were ashtrays. So we'd bring them home and put them on the table, and then of course they'd break as soon as you dropped them. But it was a place where people would dump things.
Yeah.
I worked for a fellow that had a tree business, and he would cut trees and bring the logs and the branches and just literally drive in here and dump them and drive away.
So you're a doctor working adjacent to us. What was the point that led to you becoming a board member, volunteer, and then you saw what this place could mean to people?
I was aware of it, but being in practice, I was busy all the time, didn't have the opportunity to come here and really take advantage of it. But one day in 2014, I was working right across the street here at the surgery center. We had a cancellation, and I thought, I'm going to step outside for a little fresh air, just to get a break. And I found myself walking across the parking lot over to the waterfall here, and I sat down on the bench, and it was a nice summer day. There was a little bit of a breeze, the temperature was perfect. And I could hear the water bubbling down the creek, and there were ducks swimming by, people walking around, children playing in the water, people hiking the trail. And I thought, this is kind of nice. So I sat there and closed my eyes, and I heard the birds singing, and I thought, they're kind of putting on a show for me. It's almost like it's my little church here. I'm sitting outside in this little chapel. But I remember going back to work feeling a little lighter, a little like, there's something about being out in nature, being in the fresh air, being around the trees and the green and the people that's really restorative. And I think at that point, I kind of told myself, I'm going to get involved at Lake Katherine someday. When I've got the time, I'm going to come back and maybe make something of this little experience that I just had.
It's an amazing story, but especially when I think about, a cancellation, which maybe in some cases would cause people to get upset because you had it planned and now what, but it provided you a moment to step away. And it sounds like you really needed that moment to kind of step away and clear your head. And then how sitting by the waterfall, could just lead to such a kind of a special transformative moment that it leads to being a board member, being a volunteer, and dedicating so much of your life and time to preserving this atmosphere.
Yeah, and it really has been I call it a wonderful place to land after retirement.
Yeah.
When you're working busy for 40 years and your days are packed, you can't go from 90 to 0. You have to slow down. And so coming here has been a really the perfect piece of the puzzle for me in retirement.
I think, and you've captured so many different parts of it too, for yourself personally, but the environment you also witnessed. And obviously there's other people working on the grounds and preserving them, but you have families and you have children and you have nature and you have birds, and it is a beautiful setting. Dr. O'Reilly, thank you very much for sharing your story. I hope you get to continue enjoying this beautiful place for so many more years.
I plan to be here for the long run. I'm really living the experience of Lake Katherine. I love it here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lake Katherine has much to offer, whether it's kayaking the lake from our new boat launch, or attending annual events like the Monarch Festival, or having fun recycling at our pumpkin smash held after Halloween every year. Sign up for one of the many programs offered for seniors, adults, children, and families. Our programs include guided nature hikes, summer camps, scout programs, and programs for special needs groups. You can even learn how to create a compost bin or have your children read to animals to practice their reading skills. We recently became a Chicago Public School vendor so that we could make nature experiences more accessible to Chicago Public School students. For more information on our programs and services, please visit the Lake Katherine Nature Center website at lakekatherine.org. Whatever the season, whatever the reason, all are welcome to enjoy the Lake Katherine experience.